Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Black and White Reviews, where we do talk about Bruno. My name is Lee.
And I'm John.
And speaking of Bruno, we're actually still talking about Miss Marvel. His name is Bruno, not Brian. So,
Whoa, wait. So, what do you mean? Wait a minute. I thought it was Brian this whole time.
No.
No?
Nope. So, we are finally wrapping this up. This seems like 12 episodes, even though it's only been 6. Because maybe we just dragged it on. Like, it's been a while. We've had some weeks off, and this is so. To those listening, this has just been every single week. To us, it's been like 2 months.
Oh God! Of pain, turmoil, rewatching, taking notes.
Yes. So we are just about done with this. So, what was your take on this episode? I know you mentioned that you feel that the last 2 episodes were the best of the whole series. So what do you think about this one compared to last week's?
I think this one was the best out of all 6. I mean, that's not saying much for all 6 episodes, but yeah. I wish they didn't take 6 episodes to get to this point. I wish they could have done a little bit more. I mean, outside of the fact that she knows how to use her powers really, really well now, it is beyond me. You know, just the whole layout of the episode, people finding things out, her coming into her own finally, we're prepping for the new movie coming out next year. All of that stuff, I think for the way the season went, I think it ended on a good note comparative to what we've experienced all the way up through. But then again, this 6-episode series, they did a good job in what they were attempting to do. They did. They didn't give us something that they weren't trying to give us, like Multiverse of Madness, where they said one thing and gave us something different. This is, they gave us exactly what was expected. It's just what we expected is typically not what we like. Right. What we got is not what we like. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree. This is it was definitely better than we expected based off of what we saw leading up to it. So yeah, so there's lots of weird news going on as far as just things that are coming out and that's going to be happening with Marvel after this, which I think we're going to talk more about next week. But I'm happy I'm just happy it's done.
It's over.
So we did this because basically we've sort of had this thing going where we've done every Marvel show, every Star Wars show, but I think we're going to start to be a little more selective now. I mean, we did it just because, and we know that things have shifted as far as things that are going to be released that we are really excited about. So you and I decided to do this. We tossed about some ideas about She-Hulk, but honestly, after seeing this, we're kind of like, I think we're gonna make a shift. So we'll touch base with Will about that next week too.
I will say the only thing about She-Hulk that I'm looking forward to is Matthew Murdock.
Yes, yeah, he's gonna be in there straight up full on Daredevil, which will be pretty cool.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, so there's a new trailer. I didn't actually watch it yet, but I know that he makes an appearance in the trailer.
When they do the new Daredevil TV shows, I want to do that.
Yeah.
That would be a fun series to go through.
Yeah, I mean it's probably going to pick up after where they ended. How many seasons did they go through for the first for the original series?
3
was it 2 seasons or was it? It was 3.5. Okay,
3.5.
I got through I watched the first season, loved it, and then it took a long time until I started watching the second season, and I think that's when they introduced Punisher, right? Like right off the bat.
Third
season 2.
I think third season.
Oh, okay. Then maybe I've watched the first 2 seasons then. But as soon as they introduced Punisher, that's when I stopped watching it.
Right.
Just there was so much.
But then they did the Defenders, which was Netflix version of like Avengers 2.0.
Right.
They brought in Jessica Jones. They brought in Luke Cage, and they brought Iron Fist. Yeah. They did a 6 episodes miniseries with that, and they did a really good job. So that's why I call it 3.5 seasons. But When they finally brought him in, Charlie Cox as Daredevil into No Way Home, I was like, yes, because out of all of the things,
start doing it.
out of all the cool things that happened in that movie, that was the biggest shock to me and the biggest excitement. I was like, yes, they finally did that. So seeing Disney Plus going to start doing that soon, that would be something I really want to see, because now you're going to see a crossover from almost two different universes, but it's still the same universe. So I'm excited to see that, and hopefully it'll be better than what we just witnessed these past few months with this TV show.
Yeah.
My inner 16-year-old girl
again,
has come out in the last month and a half.
The thing is, this show is not horrible. We're just not the target audience. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
So that's what it is.
Wait. You're not a 17-year-old girl?
No.
Man.
I'm not a 17-year-old Muslim girl from New Jersey. I am not.
Oh man.
Nor am I Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel. No, I'm not Captain Marvel either, who she becomes, but I guess we'll touch upon that soon. So,
Whoa.
Anyway.
She doesn't become Captain Marvel.
Well, she switches places with her. So, we'll get
That's
there.
true.
So, this episode is the 6th episode, the final episode. It's called No Normal. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
So, as we saw before, the Circle Q was blown up. The Q stands for Quran. And so it was blown up, and the feds are investigating it. And Kamran's powers are a bit off, but helpful on the train, I guess. And yeah, so we just kind of see Bruno, not Brian, and Kamran kind of running around trying to like hide, and his powers are just going all over the place. So we get over to Kamala to see where she's up to, and she's basically telling her family what's going on, who pretend to be surprised, but they obviously already knew, because apparently Dad was on speakerphone and everybody heard everything. So I like how they're all just like asking questions, like they're proud of her. Her brother's like, "Did you drop that kid on purpose? Was that like a game time decision?" Like all these ridiculous things. And then you got Dad, who's like, "Just because you can do these amazing things doesn't mean you should volunteer to go looking for trouble." And she's basically just like, "I didn't get these powers so I can just sit around."
So basically, It was the opposite of "with great power comes great responsibility." It's now "with great power, sit at home and hope all goes well."
Be safe. So the question comes down to, at this point, where's Bruno? Where is Bruno? So she goes upstairs. Mom is like, her character's done a 180 since the beginning. That's what we were talking about last week, is it was really hard to read her mom's character. But I think her mom is finally just 100% on board, backing her up, and basically gives her a whole new super suit. So she puts the thing on and runs over town. Literally runs over town. She also stops for a red light.
She does.
While she's running over town, she stops at the red light, waits for it to go green, and then she
20
goes.
feet off the ground.
Yes. So Kamran and Bruno go hide at the mosque.
So here's my question about Bruno, though. Because not Bruno, Kamran. When they go into it, when they show us his powers, it's basically the same powers as Kamala.
Yeah, there's something going on there. It's pretty similar. So, but I mean, so the powers, as we understood, that's the power of the Nord, or whatever they call it.
Sure.
So that's the same power, and I feel like it's a combination of all the others that just died. Somehow he got some strength and power to control it all. I don't know.
When his mom gave up her life, she transferred whatever she had to him.
Right. So I'm wondering if she took some from the others and then just kept on building up and then transferred to him. Kind of like we keep saying all the time, Jet Li's the one. The more you take out, the more power you build up, and blah blah blah. Or Highlander, same idea. So they're there, and so they're trying to get into the mosque to hide, and what was it? as they're running in there, they bump into Nakia, and they're like, "Oh, she's like, "Why are you trying to hide here?" They're like, "Well, places of worship are supposed to be like sanctuaries and safe havens, right?" She's like, "This is a mosque in America. The sanitation department probably has them on surveillance." Like, it's like that's a real valid point.
Yep.
I like that they're playing along with it. So then, as they're hiding in there, we get the feds that are showing up. I think Deaver, Agent Deaver, is the woman who's been sent out there. You've got the detective, or the DODC guy who was interrogating Peter Parker from the movie is also the, Department of Damage Control guy here, and he is, so he's still here, running like just basically being him.
I'm surprised we didn't see more of him.
Right.
Just because he was introduced.
Agent Cleary, that's his name.
He was introduced in No Way Home. And to see more of the counterpart, what's her name that you just mentioned her name?
Deaver, yeah.
Yeah, we saw more of her than we saw, of anybody else. I mean, because something is going to happen with her. I mean, we'll get into it, but she just defies everything that's going on. Something is going to happen with her.
Right.
We just don't know what yet. So
yeah, I don't really know anything about this character. I don't know if she's in the comics. I haven't really looked her up, but I guess we'll see. But she's coming in there with her whole entourage trying to come in, and you got the Sheik there or whatever. He's jumping up, and everybody else. He's like, "Oh, you need to stop and try some of these yummy chocolate chip cookies that so and so made." And they get into this whole conversation back and forth, get out of my way, you can't do this here, just playing the games. And I love, it's like, do you think that anybody's going to be on your side? And I love his line, he's like, I don't care if God is on my side as long as I'm on his. And she comes back, she's like, I don't need any more of your Quranic quotes. And he goes, that was Abraham Lincoln, actually. Your president. What a slap in the face. I thought that was amazing. So they push past him, they move on, and they're running around, and they're going through closets and trying to find, these two, or trying to find Kamran, basically. And Nakia pops up, tries to block the door. Oh, there's nothing in there. That's a holy place. You can't go in there. Oh no, it's actually just a bunch of cleaning supplies. You shouldn't go in there. It's cleaning supplies. Like, just get out of the way. She's like, okay, he's a really nice guy. Please don't hurt him. So they open it up, and there's like some random like little nerdy dude watching YouTube on his phone or something.
This is my boyfriend.
And he looks up, and he's just like, "What up?" Like, this is my boyfriend, and he just, I love how he responds. She's like, yeah, my mom would kill me if she found out that I had a boyfriend. He goes, you guys get that on tape? Do you have like a body cam on you? Did you hear what she said? She said I'm her boyfriend. Isn't that like... So, all just distractions and trying to, slow them down so everybody else can get up.
Very cliche, very on the nose, very expected.
Yep, just like the rest of this show. So Nightlight shows up, because she's still Nightlight at this point, shows up to meet them in the alley. Kamran is like blowing up. He's like exploding in there, and he describes it as feeling like he's being crushed from the inside out. Seems accurate. He's acting that very well. I would pick that up. So they basically call the Red Dagger, because he's like the only one left. So he's the Red Dagger for help to get Kamran out. He's like, he's a clandestine. That's like my job to like take them out. She's like, no, you should help him instead. He goes, okay.
I love how fast he gets help when he's halfway around the world, and yet he can get help within moments. Be at the harbor by midnight. What I love is by midnight over the phone. He's in, where is he? Pakistan. They're in Jersey,
and he understands that.
Right, but he says midnight because he knows exactly what time it is there and how far away midnight is from where they are. Just quickly doing time. Yes. I love how like it just works out that way.
Why would he not know that?
I love at the very end before you get there when he gets to the harbor, he takes the exact same route that they took in Obi-Wan.
Same route?
Some random tunnel that,
Oh, right. Yeah, well, she made the tunnel.
Which that was interesting. That was very interesting. I don't even know, like, how. But
Anyway, yeah, the whole point there is get him to the harbor by midnight. She looks over there, talks to Nakia. They make up. They're cool. They're good. She's just more upset that, like, why didn't you tell me? You know, which we saw was going to be a thing, but now it's not a thing. They just had to have a quick conversation. Everybody's happy and done. We're fine.
I don't get I don't get why stuff like that isn't a thing. Like in all other movies or TV shows like this, it's always a thing for a while before it doesn't. This it just went nowhere. There was a lot of stuff in this episode in this TV show that started and just went nowhere.
Right.
Like Caltech.
Well, maybe they're trying to. No, he went to Caltech at the end. That was the point. He was getting ready to go to Caltech.
Yeah, but you don't actually. I get that, but you don't really see a lot about that. Like he's a main character in this TV series, and you hear about it twice, and then it doesn't really go much further than that.
Well, you just know that by the end of this episode, he's leaving for Caltech. That's what they were talking about. That was like their last conversation. So basically, they come up with this idea to go to the school. Let's go use the school and hide out there. And their plan is basically to distract the feds, or, you know, damage control, distract them, and sneak Kamran to the harbor. Okay. Her brother shows up out of nowhere. She's like, how did you get in here? It's like, oh, I used to go here. Her response is that superheroes don't need chaperones. And they basically come up with this whole Home Alone plan to basically, you know, knock these guys around enough to sneak past. So we've got mad scientist duty, fire extinguishers, softballs, etc.
Yeah.
Anything that you can think of. And she does the whole thing out on her big comic strip style illustration on a big blackboard. And lots of detail. And
very quickly and very professionally drawn. It looks really good. Like she has a really good job for what she does.
Yeah, and she spent very little time doing something that would take anybody else like a good half hour to do, which could have been used to actually execute the plan. But okay, here we are. So, Deaver, her boss basically tells her to back down. The boss is that Agent Cleary dude. He's like, back down. You're gonna draw way too much attention at a school. You shouldn't be doing this. She straight up ignores her orders and calls in more units to cover her butt. Her thoughts mostly like, well, if I just make sure it gets done right, you know, then he'll just be like, whatever, you did it and it was quick and fine. But that is not what happened here because Home Alone.
Right.
So Bruno basically looks over and they're trying to get things straightened out here, and he looks over to Kamal and just says, don't tell Kamran that his mother's dead. Wait until we're all out of here safely. You know, very good point. He's going through a lot of stuff right now, has a lot of power, and the last thing you want to do is set him off and have him divert his anger towards really everybody.
Well, because he can't control anything right now either.
Right. So if his emotions get all wacky, God knows what's going to happen. So we're ready to execute this plan. So they've got their friend Zoe there. They've got her brother, Bruno, Kamala, obviously, and Kamran. And they're all getting they all get the same hoodies and everything. They basically all dress up the same with a hat and the same hoodie, so they can, you know, look like they're all the same person and throw everybody off. First things first. They break into the place, they open it up, and there's a bomb? Nope, it's that weird Alexa thing that Bruno made for her dad that's sitting there, and it's making weird noises and beeps and clicks and whirs and whatever, and then all of a sudden it just starts playing some music, and a disco ball comes out of the ceiling.
I think it was called Zuzu.
Zuzu? Okay, yeah, Zuzu.
I believe is what it was called. It was basically it's Alexa, but it's called Zuzu.
Yep. So they shoot the thing, and then we see that they're all wearing the same hoodies, running around, and Zoe immediately goes on her TikTok and draws as much attention to them as she possibly can, because she has all those followers. She's like, people are coming after us when we're at the school, please help us. So everybody shows up, and their mother. What was interesting, as they're running around the school doing this whole Home Alone-y thing, they're playing this like Pakistani American rap song. And if you listen, like I wish I had like the lyrics in front of me, but there was one time where he referred to himself as Pac Daniels, And
I missed
that stood out, and I definitely heard some other things in there, but Pac Daniels made me laugh more than anything.
That is pretty good.
Because he was just rapping like in English about being Pakistani. So anyway, there's a booby trap which is set up as they're going through, and it actually sets off this thing which creates the elephant toothpaste everywhere. And that was a pretty big batch of elephant toothpaste, if I say so myself. Have you seen that challenge, the elephant toothpaste?
No.
Okay, so it's basically it's a bunch of chemicals, whatever. It's some kind of thing that people have been doing. So that explosion, it has been like I guess a TikTok or viral, online challenge, and people do it in their backyards to see how, what colors and how big they can make it. So that's what that is. It's elephant toothpaste. That is the most Gen Z that I know stuff. I'm pretty detached. Anyway.
I don't know a thing about it. I don't know a single thing about it.
So at one point, Kamala and Kamran hide in an office. They're holding each other's hands, and their hands are glowing. Well, duh. Their hands have always been glowing, but now they're holding each other's hands. So is this fate? Does this mean that they're supposed to be together? Are they going to kiss? No. Bruno comes in, sees them kissing. But the coolest thing about this is the entire time we've seen Bruno, really jealous of Kamran. But this time he sees them doing it, and he literally just, shrugs it off and gets right to, hey, we got to get out of here.
Well, I think he's doing that because he knows that he's also leaving, too.
Right. So he's over the whole thing, and he's just like, we're here for business. I don't even, it didn't even affect him at all. He was just shut off and moving on here.
Exactly.
So as they run off, he gets up and starts trying to distract the guards, the SWAT team here, right? So he's up there, hey guys, come dance with me. You haven't seen moves like this. And it's like this weird full body dry heave that he's doing. To get people's attention. And then they basically come over there and they punch him in the face and they knock him down. I'm like, wow, that's pretty rough on a kid. They were being pretty rough. But then again, I guess that does make sense. So Kamran doesn't trust the Red Daggers. He says he needs the clandestines. I need my mother. What happened to my mother? And he's getting pretty upset. And at one point, some guard comes into the bathroom, goes after him. He tries to basically kill him, and Kamala stops him. And he gets pretty upset and runs off. So now he doesn't trust her because he knows, what's up with my mother. He knows his mom is dead, and he just goes on this whole rampage against the DDC, or DODC, whatever they are. So that's pretty much what's going on. He is the big bad guy now. In the end, the bad guy is this teenage guy who doesn't know what he's doing, but yet somehow immediately knows what he's doing. I don't know, seemed odd. But everybody in Jersey City is there watching now. There's a whole audience of people all outside watching this whole thing happen.
Including 15 squad cars. They're all out there. Everybody is out there. This is a huge ordeal.
Yeah. So Cleary's not going to be very happy about this. It's exactly what he said would happen, and Deaver's going to get... She's going to get a couple noogies for this one. So everyone's there. Deaver yells fire, and Kamala jumps out the window and shields Kamran from being shot. For some reason, he couldn't do that himself. Because even though he was able to do everything else and just keeps, I don't know, whatever. So she shields him.
I think she was trying to show him that she still is trying to protect him, that she's not against him.
Yeah.
I think that was her trying to, step up and let him know that, I'm still here for you. Pass
the olive branch over. So then they pull out the sound cannon. We haven't seen the sound cannon since the Incredible Hulk. So that was cool to see. That's pretty handy.
That's true.
That comes out.
I remember that. I was like that. I was like, oh, that's right. That was in. You said the Incredible Hulk, right?
The Incredible Hulk.
Okay,
yes.
Good. Not the Hulk.
I did not say that. Absolutely.
Okay, because Eric Bana is way different than Edward Norton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I have a question about that. Why do you think? Because Eric Bana actually did. Edward Norton actually did a pretty good job as Bruce Banner. Why did
Yes.
they change over to Mark Ruffalo?
Because he wanted a lot more money.
Really?
Oh, he wanted a ton of money. Yep.
I mean,
And Ruffalo's just happy to be there, so.
I think Mark Ruffalo did a great job.
Oh, I love him.
I think he was
I
fantastic.
mean, Edward Norton did good too, but could you imagine Edward Norton in that whole mix of people? Like, I feel like that wouldn't fit.
No.
You know, it was, you know, they already had the Cap versus Tony thing going on, which, you know, led to Civil War and all that stuff. And then Thor being Thor, which, I mean, he's kind of on his own level anyway, but then having Edward Norton down there, it wouldn't have been like a buddy-buddy between them the same way. I think it would have been a lot more combative just because of the way that Edward Norton is.
Exactly.
But then I guess he could have played it differently. I don't know, but I think that it all came down to money as far as I understood. Same with Terrence Howard. It was all, they wanted more money, and they're like, no, not happening. So
Yeah, 'cause he's not even a huge actor. So
Terrence Howard, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
so I don't get why he was looking for so much more.
He was the bad guy in Big Mama's House. That's the first thing I remember him from. I mean, he's been in a ton of stuff since then. Isn't he in that show Empire or whatever, and a few other things? But yeah, he was definitely the bad guy in Big Mama's House. Anyway, so she basically hops up after she gets knocked over, and it's funny because this time I had the subtitles on and I heard what she said. She actually said the word embiggen.
Embiggen?
She says embiggen, and then she gets bigger. Her legs get long, her arms get long, and her fists get huge. And she's basically kind of bulletproof. Basically everything that's glowing is bulletproof because they're shooting at her and the bullets are just bouncing
off of her, yeah.
I'm like, that's pretty cool. And at one point, Kamran just tosses a Humvee and she catches it with her big, glowy hands. I'm still getting over the fact that she's like, embiggen, and then she gets bigger. It's like, wait, it's a go-go gadget, embiggen. Like, it just seemed funny to me. Or, you know, expectro beginnum or something, and then whatever. It was weird.
Yeah, almost the same as expecto patronum. Almost the same.
So,
like I was saying, though, I've said this before, Disney Plus did my son watches it, Spidey's Amazing Friends.
Yeah.
Which, who we were at a friend's house at his son's birthday party, and the guy who does the theme song for that, what's his name?
What, Fall Out Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the guy from Fall Out Boy.
So he does that, but Miss Marvel in the TV show, in the cartoon, is actually more like Mr. Fantastic. Like she just has stretchy arms and legs, and that's about as far as she goes.
How far is that?
As far as she wants to go.
Oh, okay.
So it's funny because Netflix right now has the Raimi trilogy for Spider-Man on Netflix.
Yes.
So I was watching it. I'm watching the first one. It's been a few nights now because I fall asleep because I watch it late.
It's so good. I love those
fantastic.
first two movies.
And what I love about these movies is when they get their powers, like very much like Captain America, when he gets bit by the spider, he's bigger, like he's more muscular, he's,
Right.
And he learns how to do certain things because of the powers that he has. He can lift things, he can punch,
Right.
he's strong, his spider sense and the way he does things allows him to move,
He can break lamps.
Right. When she gets her powers in this, all she can do is produce this plasma stuff, but she's not stronger. She has no special real ability after that. So it's like, I don't understand, like, the point around it.
So she does. She can create those plasma things, and apparently she is stronger because she caught a Humvee.
Well, those plasma hands are stronger, but herself is not.
But wouldn't herself fall over trying to carry those arms that are holding a Humvee? I'm just thinking
we saw
for
when
like
she
physics
met the Red
here.
Dagger, when she throws the knife, it's like, yeah. It's like
But
really
she wasn't using her glowy arms though. But yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I think you said it, you kind of hit the nail on the head when we first talked about like the first episode where she got this thing and she pulled out her arm. It's very much like Green Lantern, you know, where he can just produce these things out of his ring, you know, like a weapon or an arm or whatever.
Yep.
That's what it looks like when she does these things.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know anything of this character. This character is relatively young as far as like just ages being existence in comics. So I've never really heard much about her. I've never read any of the comics. I've never seen her in anything else. This is the first time she's been in anything but a comic book. I mean,
Right.
well, of course, there's your Spidey and his Amazing Friends. So she's very fresh, very young, very new. Very good, very nice. So Deaver goes to shoot Kamran, and he crystallizes everywhere. He just goes ahead and crystallizes all over the place. His own little fortress of solitude, maybe.
Basically,
crystals are getting
it comes out of the ground. I mean, they're pretty big too,
right,
and
right.
they're causing a lot of damage as well too to the surrounding area.
Absolutely. And I love it because her friends are all in the van, and the crystals are getting closer and building closer and closer to their face, and they're like, So she basically crystallizes a little fortress around him, very much so like what Doctor Strange did to like Dark Doctor Strange when he was trying to contain him.
Yeah.
So this way they can have their private convo, and they basically explain, or she explains, your mother chose you over going home. She wanted you to be okay, and that's why she sacrificed herself for you. And he's just like, yeah, well, how can I be normal after this? And, you know, people aren't going to, you know, understand, and they're not going to be cool about this. And she's like, how can I be normal? Well, there is no normal. Look at that. We got the title. She just basically says, in her own words, we do the best with what we have. We do the best with what we've been given. And then she creates a tunnel in the ground, and he Bugs Bunnies himself to the harbor.
Yeah, I want to know how she created a tunnel to the harbor, knowing exactly how underground, where it went, how it got there. It makes no sense.
I didn't think that's what happened. I thought that she created a tunnel, and he kind of just like pushed his way through and got somewhere out, and then just ran to the harbor the rest of the way. That was my assumption. I don't think he literally tunneled all the way to the harbor. That would just be ridiculous. But then again, they really weren't that far from the harbor. They were almost there. You could see it in the background. So,
So you thinking that's where it was?
yeah.
Okay.
I think they just kind of dug under, you know, like digging under a fence type thing, got out of the way, and then ran. I don't know. That would be my understanding. But then again, this show hasn't made a lot of sense. So
It's because we're not 16-year-old girls.
I guess so. Now we're 16. Okay. So the city basically surrounds her to protect her from the DODC. Even the police stood there to basically block them from coming up to her. We've seen this a bunch of times where the town comes together, you know, like get away from Spider-Man. They do that in Spider-Man 2.
On the train.
On the train, which was great. I mean, that was one of the coolest scenes, you know, where they carry his body back and then... we won't tell nobody, mister, you know, and then give him back his mask. You know, it was a great... that's why I love that movie. That movie has so many very key moments that just make me love it. Some of it's cliche, but the rest of it's like... It's amazing that Spider-Man's identity was always hidden, yet there's this scene in the movie where his identity was, like, his mask was off, and nobody knew who he was. They just said, he's a kid, no older than my son. You know, but they're not, like, mad. They're just, like, shocked. Here's this dude... it's funny because you look at it and Tobey Maguire was like 35 when he did it. Like, how old is your son, sir?
Jake Gyllenhaal. So, and that's the thing too, is with the original, with that trilogy, there was some stuff that was cliche. And when there are some things that are cliche, I'm okay with that. Yeah. This entire series has been cliche top to bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Top to
bottom. Absolutely. One thing that kind of confused me here. So, I mean, she basically, they're all coming around her, and they surround to help, and she just goes up and out over everyone's head and runs off. Now, one question that doesn't make any sense to me is this entire time they know they're looking for a Muslim young girl, right? Mm-hmm. They know that, meaning they've seen what she looks like. How come suddenly there is no facial recognition, like, technology in the Marvel universe.
Because
if Tony Stark could do all the stuff that Tony Stark could do, and other people had technology just like that, are you seriously saying that they couldn't figure out who she was very quickly because she's wearing nothing but a mask over her eyes?
It worked for
Come
Robin.
on. This is not DC.
Okay.
So far, I mean, the only characters that have, kept their identity safe, or tried to, Spider-Man lost that opportunity, and, it's like they've been, I guess the thing about the Marvel is most of the characters are known at this point, which is very different, like Dr. Stephen Strange. Everybody knows that. Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, Thor.
Well, Thor is
I guess Ant-Man. Yeah, well, I guess Ant-Man. I don't really know. They haven't really shown. Maybe they know who he is. I guess most people do, but
it's just weird. The
that,
FBI, he was arrested.
Oh yeah, because they knew.
He was
with
house arrest because they knew who he was.
With Agent Wong or whatever his agent. What was his name? I don't remember. the close-up magic guy.
Yep.
Jim Halper. That's Halper. So anyway, blah blah blah. So her boss is not very happy, Agent Cleary. He's just like, "You're done. This is ridiculous," and she calls the team out, and they leave. Next thing we know, everybody's on TikTok, and Zoe and Nakia are on there together, being friends and buddies. One thing I thought that was great was the kid who fell, the ice cream pizza kid. He's like, "Yeah, she dropped me and broke my leg. I guess I was the beta test." like he was like not even mad or anything. Like he was just like, yeah, like whatever, that was cool. I got saved by somebody. She dropped me and broke my leg, but I guess I was just the beta test. Whatever. So then we got Kamala on the roof with her dad. They're having a talk back and forth, and he's like, "What are you called?" And she's like, "I don't even know. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm trying to figure it out." He goes, "Okay, whatever. Not Nightlight." So he kind of explains, even if you only saved one life, well, you saved the world.
Sure. It makes no sense at all. But.
Sure. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Like, I think I know what he meant to say, but maybe his English just wasn't so good.
I was thinking if you saved one life, then you saved one life.
One life. Maybe he wasn't very good with math. But I think the point is the fact that you saved somebody, it's no more than saving nobody.
That's true.
That is true. Yeah.
And who knows, that person could have a ripple effect, and they could have influenced so many people, and bing, bang, boom.
Well, that's the point. We talk about this all the time when it comes down to salvation and whatnot. If we bring one person to the Lord, and then
right.
Boom, 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 we see how that goes. I don't think that we ever bring people to the Lord. That's the Spirit moving through us. But, blah, 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 blah. Let's see here. A roof with the dad, and he basically explains that we named you Kamala because you were perfect. That's what it means in English. Well, actually, it's more like wonder or marvel. And
it's more like, what? Did you say Marvel?
And he goes, yes, our own little Miss Marvel. And she is ecstatic that she shares a name with Kara frickin' Danvers, as she puts it, or Carol Danvers. And, yep, so she hugs him, and she runs through the sky, and he just looks up and goes, magic, absolute magic. I'm like, okay. For some reason, he kind of reminds me of the Sultan from Aladdin, because he's just kind of like so oblivious to things and goofy, and he just likes the syntheticness of snack cakes or those fruit pies. Anyway, one week later, Bruno's leaving for Caltech, and he basically explains something's different about you compared to the rest of your family. You have a mutation. And she's like, great, just another label, which they're obviously saying at this point, a label? Well, she's now labeled as a mutant. So, she is a mutant. This is a way that they're starting to, again, start bringing more of the X-Men into the MCU.
Right.
We're going to get there. I don't think she ever was a mutant, at least not from what I understood. But they're doing whatever they want because she's still a fresh new character, and they just want to do something. So it explains why she's able to do what she's able to do. Because of a mutation.
Right.
So, pretty cool. So then we get the after credit scene. The Bengal is glowing. She's hanging out in her room. She shakes her wrist for half a second, gets thrown into her closet, and suddenly we realize that she switched places with Carol Danvers. And Carol Danvers is played by a very skinny Brie Larson who almost doesn't look like her. She's
Not at
older,
all.
she's thinner, and I double checked a couple times, like, is that actually her? Oh, it is. It's just she didn't look like that when we saw her before. She's just, older and thinner. So that's that, and we get Ms. Marvel will return in the Marvels. So we're
Right.
not going to see her again until we get the Marvels, which is set to come out. Do you
It's
recall when?
April of next year, I think.
Is it?
I think.
I mean, they always keep changing it. So
When it finally comes out, it'll be April of 2025.
right.
So,
So yeah, I mean, we'll see what ends up happening. July 28th. Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
Close.
Release date July 28th. So we're moving on down the list here. So yeah, it's definitely confirmed. Samuel L. Jackson will be there. Obviously Kamala Khan. So also Nick Fury, Carol Danvers, Monica Rambeau will be there. We've seen her, obviously. Oh, and the woman who played her mother. Who was the older Rambeau? She was the one who was the Captain Marvel in the Illuminati.
yes.
Yeah, which is interesting. So, I guess we'll see where that whole thing goes. I'm not sure who. Yeah, this is gonna be very odd. It's gonna be very different, very odd. But we shall see what they do. So, yeah, we're done with this episode. Overall, I think I'll just kind of echo what I was saying earlier. I believe that the show's not a bad show. It's just
Nope.
we are not the target audience.
Exactly. Which I'm sad for because, I guess they're trying to bring in other groups of people into the MCU by trying to cross generation, with this kind of stuff. So
You say generation?
generation, no generation.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it makes perfect sense. They wanted to have, with her being this character, a teenage girl, they wanted it so teenage girls would actually appreciate it and get into it as well. But I think mostly what it ends up being is not so much teenage girls, because teenage girls could care less about Marvel for the most part, and it's probably mostly children that are in elementary school or middle school that are the most interested in it,
Right.
because that's just what happens. So whatever. That could just be very, very assumptive, or it could be pretty accurate. But
Or both.
either way, this show is done. It doesn't look like they're gonna have another season, which is good. But they gave us enough of backstory to understand who she is when they bring her into the Marvels. So
Right.
good. We might hear more about the clandestines at some point. See what happened to Kamran. He might pop up. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But I'm all done if you are.
Yeah, I am actually, as much as we have, as long as it's taken for us to do all of this, I am so glad that we're coming to an end with this, because it has been a long, hard
Journey.
journey with this TV show. So, but
Well-
I think it's going to be good. That we're going to be going into the new Marvel TV movie with this. So hopefully, for some of those out there who did enjoy this TV show, I wish you all the best when the movie comes out. Because I'm sure that if we watched the movie and we didn't watch this, we'd be like, "What the heck's going on?"
Right. Well, absolutely
So-
would be the case. Like, as we talked about last week, the issue is I know people who watched Multiverse of Madness but never saw WandaVision. I'm like, then you have no idea what's even happening here.
Right.
Like, you're missing a very, very, very key part. I'm a little disappointed that White Vision didn't show up in Multiverse of Madness. But I'm
Yeah,
sure we're going to see him again at some point.
I didn't understand that. So
Well, we were looking forward to that movie for like years, and then we got what we got, and I was like, this is not years worth of anticipation.
Not even a little bit.
But whatever. Nothing against Raimi. I think it was just the direction that they wanted it to go. And anyway, that's that. Well, thanks everybody for sticking around, journeying with us through this TV show. We will be catching you guys next week with Will joining us, and we will talk about the future of this next season that we're going into, we'll say.
Right.
So, have a good one.
Good one, everybody. Have a great one.